I've just noticed that in my life, the people that I thought were too far gone.
Yep. Well, here's the part that really scandalizes and offends people is that we can say, because they're going to be like, he's done this many things and he's this and he's that and he's done this and he's that. And it's like,
yeah, there's no worse hate than Christian hate.
Ruslan recently sat down with Bryce Crawford and they had a long conversation about a lot of different topics. And one of the topics that did come up was surrounding Adam 22 and if he is just too far gone to be saved. And so in today's video, we are going to address what they both have to say about this topic, as well as some things that they bring up that I think are extremely vital and important that we need to be reminded of as born-again believers. And then finally, I am going to pull up a specific parable that really ties in all of this. So with that being said, let's see how this conversation unfolded.
I've just noticed that in my life, the people that I thought were too far gone
yep,
have come to know Christ, not because I've talked, but because I've just loved God, served God, and they've witnessed what it's done in my life.
Yeah.
Now, this is something that I want to stop at real quick because from my own personal testimony, I was viewed as somebody who was too far gone. I was viewed as an individual who, man, there's no way God could save Brandon. Absolutely not. The things that he has done, the things that he's doing, absolutely not. But thankfully, salvation is in the hands of the Lord, and that he is the one who opens up blind eyes and deaf ears, and that he is the one that takes a heart of stone and turns it to a heart of flesh, that he is ultimately the one who has saved me. Thankful for that because, yeah, I was so far gone. I was so far away from the Lord, the lifestyle I was living, the things that I was indulging in and participating in. Yeah, I was so far gone. But God was patient and he was kind and he was gracious. And he is that with so many people. Every single person on this earth who is still breathing and has breath in their lungs, who does not know Christ and him crucified, man, God is being gracious and kind and patient with you. And you are not too far gone. You may think you are, but you're not. I just want to stop and say that real quick. So let's see how the rest of this conversation unfolds.
Well, here's the part that really scandalizes and offends people is that we can say, hey, no one is beyond redemption and no one is beyond having their story turned for good, even in Adam 22.
And so this is the question. And so this is the thing that I also want to address is, man, nobody is too far gone. I'm going to continue to echo that because it was right for my own life and it's been right for so many other people's lives. And even a guy like Adam 22, he is not too far gone. And so when Ruslan had the conversation with him on that one podcast and then Bryce Crawford had him on his own podcast and they're having these conversations with Adam 22, and currently as it states, Adam is just like laughing at Christianity, mocking Christianity, has no care for Christianity or Christ or anything like that. He's still not too far gone because, guys, the reality is too, this necklace that I have on my neck, I've had it since I was 10 years old. The Lord did not save me until I was 21 years old. I did not know what this cross represented until I was 21, and I wore it every single day. Nobody is too far gone.
Yep.
Right. And so like I'm texting in, I'm like, hey man, like I'm waiting for your Christian arc, bro.
Yeah.
Like I think there's going to be a Christian arc to your story, you know, and I think you're going to come to Jesus, you know? And so I think that's the part though, is that if and when, God willing, Adam does surrender to Jesus, that's going to scandalize people because they're going to be like, he's done this many things and he's this and he's that and he's done this and he's that. And it's like, yeah, and even he can come to Jesus and the story change and it'd be rewritten as something beautiful.
Yep.
And to give us something even more scandalous that'll rub people just the wrong way, let's just say down the road, Adam 22 surrenders his life to Christ and he becomes a born-again believer. People are going to look at his life and go, there's just no way God can forgive what he's done. There's no way God can show that much grace and mercy. There is a way. But you know what else is super scandalous that people aren't going to like? The sweet old lady who's been living her entire life, doing good things for people, helping out, serving at the soup kitchen, being kind, just being a charitable, loving, great citizen in the eyes of people. But she doesn't know Christ and Him crucified, and she's not born again. That lady goes to hell. That is what is so scandalizing for people too, because they start comparing. Well, there's no way Hitler can go to heaven. There's no way after everything he's did. You were telling me that if Hitler truly surrendered his life to Christ and became a born again believer, that God would welcome him into his kingdom? The answer is yes. No matter how much that offends people, the answer is yes. If that were the case. Guys, Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through Him. Salvation is in the hands of the Lord and His hands only. We gotta stop comparing people and saying, well, I'm not as bad as this person. I may not be as good as this person, but I'm not as bad as this individual. We need to stop that foolishness, because this can get super scandalous and rub people the wrong way when they just don't have a clear understanding of how serious sin is.
Yeah, there's no worse hate than Christian hate.
Yeah.
That friendly fire. It's like the second you convert, the friendly fire starts going crazy. And then it's like, dude, like we're all trying. Like we make mistakes, you know, that you're right. There's time to judge. There's time to call brothers. Hey man, I don't know if I would be doing that. Or hey, maybe you should check this or things like that. But you know, it's like, dang, when Adam, I love you, man. When you come to Christ, it's gonna be awesome. And that's just the fact of the matter. Like we need more people inviting non-believers to Chili's, man. Sitting at Chili's, breaking some bread. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and I will say this: the reason why people may have a pushback against guys like Adam 22 one day becoming a born again believer is because sadly records show that when stars and people who are social media influencers have all of a sudden turned their life to Christ, for the most part, sadly, those individuals burn off and continue going back into that heinous, sinful lifestyle. It's like Kanye West. Everyone was super excited. I was extremely excited. But we all see how that's unfolded and played out. And that happens more often than we would like. But then we also get a glimmer of hope when we see guys like Russell Brand, who all of a sudden came into the Christian space, was a born again believer. People were skeptical or whatever, but we've continued to see that beautiful fruit. And that's what we need to be praying for, is the fruit. And there's a specific parable in Matthew that I want to talk about that really just kind of ties in all of this. And this should be our approach when anybody comes to faith in Christ. And that is simply this. In Matthew chapter 13, verses 24 to 30, it says, the parable of the wheat and tares. Starting in verse 24, another parable he put forth to them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field, but while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. But when the grain had sprouted and produced a crop, then the tares also appeared. So the servants of the owner came and said to him, Sir, did you not sow good seed in your field? How then does it have tares? He said to them, An enemy has done this. The servants said to him, Do you want us to go and gather them up? But he said, No, lest while you gather the tares, you also uproot the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And at the time of the harvest, I will say to the reapers, First gather together the tares and bind them into bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. This approach is a wait and see approach. It is a patience approach. Be in prayer for individuals like Adam 22. Pray that they do surrender their life to Christ and that they become born again believers. And if that does happen, let's not just jump out and shout and yes, this person's now a born again believer, and just platform them and get them all over and basically do what happened to Kanye. No, patience. Pray that they get linked into a local body, church, where they can fellowship with the saints and understand and learn the scriptures and doctrine and theology and go through this process. That's what our prayer should be, and be patient and hopeful that this conversion is a actual true conversion.